Hey, Vince, it's a pleasure to have you on this show. I'm so happy that you could take the time to join us from down under.
Oh, okay, down under. Kathy, honestly, the moment you said I should be on the show, I'm like, anything for you. I love chatting with you, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. It's going to be a chat among friends. So,
Yeah.
I know a lot about you, Vince, but why don't you tell the listeners here what you're all about?
What I'm all about. Oh my goodness.
Ooh,
Well,
I know
yeah,
that's a hard
now.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all about helping people tell their stories, essentially. So my background's in marketing and AI. I'm a neuromarketing specialist. I've been in AI and market. I've been in AI for about 20 years, been in marketing for about 30 something years, which showing my age now. But everything I do now came out of, so I'd kind of been in and out of startups, been in and out of corporate through most of my career. Came off the back of selling one of my largest startups. We sold that for multi eight figures, which was a crazy stressful journey. But anyway, finished that journey and realized while we are going through the acquisition process, it all well and good, except for we had burnt through, my wife and I had burnt through all of our savings to build this thing, right? This was really important to us. We knew it was a huge opportunity. We burnt through all of our savings, and suddenly you've got no income while you're waiting on selling the business, which is a period of time. Turns out you can't go down to the supermarket or the grocery store and say, "Hey, I'll give you some equity for groceries." So I had to get back into corporate. So I became the chief marketing officer at Cigna Insurance and was there for 5 years. And this was a really important part of my journey because I was there for 5 years in what is basically considered the dream job. As a marketer, this is pretty much the pinnacle. You're a chief marketing officer at a Fortune 100 company. The pay is, by the way, ridiculous. The bonuses, multiple bonuses a year, again, they're ridiculous. Got to travel the world, speaking on stages everywhere. I was in hot demand and they would always fly me business class, so I felt so special. But also published my first book when I was there. Won a slew of awards, including getting recognized by Adobe as one of the top 50 marketers in the world. And I bring all of that up
Wow.
because it all meant nothing. And I literally was sitting in my office. I had a huge office, right, on one of the top floors in our largest building back in New Zealand. And I was looking out over the harbor, looking at all the cruise ships, getting excited because we were going to go on a cruise, and realized I'm completely unhappy. I am so unfulfilled here. And I was writing all those things I just said. I was writing them on a list because I felt really guilty about the fact that most people would kill for this job. I had the job and I didn't want the job.
Hmm.
So that's when I realized that it was actually the unfulfilled part that was not sitting well with me at all, and I needed to get back to what I'm passionate about. And it turns out what I'm passionate about is helping entrepreneurs, which yeah, has always been part of my journey. So I left there to kind of well write books essentially. I thought I was going to write a lot of books and help a lot of people. Then discovered about probably 3 or 4 months after I left there, COVID hit the world, and
Oh,
all of a sudden, every entrepreneur that I was talking to was desperate for help. And that's when I realized, hey, I've got all this experience under me. I've got all this knowledge. Why don't I just help people? And then that kind of expanded into what I'm doing now, which is just basically we have. I was trying to work it out last night. Somebody asked me how many businesses we have, and I completely lost count. My team are going to kill me on that, but I think we're up to around 12 businesses. Not all of those are mine. Some of those, like whenever my team come work for me, I help them to launch their own business, and we come on board as a partner with them to make sure that they've got the support they need. So 12 different businesses under our banner, but every single one of them is about helping people to be seen, helping people to tell their story. And so, yeah, that's basically what I do now. So we've got a podcast management company, we've got a publishing company, a magazine, a podcast, we've got PR company, we've got all sorts there. So it's a lot of fun.
that's fantastic. So, okay, back up. So you were selling your company, um,
Yeah.
and but it took too long to sell, so you had to take a real job. Is that
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how it
essentially,
started?
that's basically it. Yeah, it was like, and also, I'm very aware. I've seen this so many times. I know you've actually been through it myself with previous acquisitions. When someone sells a company, because that company is often tied to your sense of identity, I find it's really important to find something else to do really quickly. Because if
Right.
you don't, you get that cycle of you basically it's like a negative spiral that you go into where you're like, who am I now? Like
Right,
I've
right. I'm
sold
not
the
I'm not the
business. Yeah.
company anymore. It's not my
Exactly.
company.
Yeah. And even going through selling it, I'll be honest, like I was burnt out, which is part of the reason. I basically made the decision to leave the company and just said, look, I need to spend more time with my family. I had a young family and I just need to spend more time with them. And I just can't do the day to day, because we had four co-founders and a huge team. But I can tell you now, of the four co-founders, only one of us was the marketing guy, and that was me. I was the CEO and the chief marketing officer, which meant I was the one on the road all the time, going and selling in the US, selling in Australia, selling all over the world. which meant I never got to see my family. So easy decision for me to step away from there. But that's when we realized, oh, wait, people are wanting to buy us. Why don't we entertain that conversation? So we end up in a really good bidding war. But going through that process, I genuinely, at a couple of points, went, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it. I don't want to sell my baby because it was tied to my identity. It wasn't until I saw our bank balance afterwards that I went, I'm a-okay with this. Like, in
Okay,
fact,
baby. Bye-bye,
yeah,
baby.
yeah, okay, I got two real kids. You want to buy them now? So, yeah.
That's fantastic. So, okay, so helping people through speaking, publicity,
Yep.
marketing. If you have someone that's at mid six figures and they just can't top that threshold, what would be your advice, or where would you start with these people?
Yeah. Well, if you're in your top six figures, that's the perfect place to be because that's when basically you go beyond just lead generation into awareness. And that's into basically positioning yourself as a thought leader. And one of the things that kind of underpins every business that we start here is back when I was at Cigna, we did a huge research piece. Basically, full disclosure, we had two research companies that were on retainer. So we were paying them like, $30,000 a month each to do nothing. And I'm like, well, that's not cool. So I decided we need to get them to work for their money. So I just told both of them, one was a quantitative, one was qualitative, said, look, go out there and research what is thought leadership. Because we knew we wanted to be positioned as thought leaders, very important part of the journey. So they both came back with basically the same conclusion, which was pretty simple, just varied in the words. But it was essentially that you have something to say and it being interesting or compelling enough that people want to hear it. That was basically it, which is not helpful at all. But
No, yeah.
within both of their research, we found 13 different things that you can do that when you do these things, these levers, when we use these levers, people perceive you as a thought leader. So when you do these 13 different things, people go, oh, Kathi knows what she's talking about. Oh, so those underpin every different business that we have. So we broke them into seven primary and six secondary pillars. And
Mm,
where the primary pillars is where we focus, and we only focus on six of those because one of those is TEDx talks, and I've never done one. I have no desire to do one, so I'm not going to help anyone launch a TEDx talk or anything like that. So all the rest of the ones though were things like becoming a published author. That was number one by far.
right.
And there's so many different things even within that. Number two was having your own platform. So exactly what you've got here, your own podcast, your own show.
Yeah.
That is the second most powerful one. The third is going on other people's podcasts or other people's platforms. Then you've got things like awards and recognition. You've got getting in the media. You've got constant content, all these kind of things. But the top three is where I would focus if you're trying to move past that top six figures. Become a published author. I mean, you know this, Kathi, it genuinely opens doors for you. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. And there's a
absolutely.
whole pile of neuroscience behind it as well. Like
Oh,
when we had the research come back, we were like, most of it made sense. Like the books made sense because I was already an author. I'd experienced it and all this kind of stuff. But there was some in there where you're like, huh? Like that makes no sense. So we brought in some psychologists, neuroscientists, and said, look, please explain. And once they sat down and went, oh no, there's some validity to this. This is because of this cognitive bias or that cognitive bias or this effect or that effect.
mm,
Suddenly it all made sense. So
mm,
become a published author is number one. And the other thing I would say is seriously think about and don't listen to anyone that says podcasting's dead. Podcasting is not dead at all. It is one of the most effective things, but start looking at having your own platform because it does multiple things. It gives you a voice, it positions you as a thought leader, but you also get the halo effect for any guest that you have on the show.
mm.
And get this, here's the secret no one tells you about podcasting, which you and I know, Kathy. A lot of the guests you have on the show are potential clients of yours anyway. So you end up, particularly as the show grows, you end up with a lead generation machine where people are just constantly pitching to be on your show, constantly wanting to be basically having a conversation with you. Hello, it's super easy. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I find it's getting easier and easier and more fun.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
meeting higher caliber, guests like you.
yep.
So
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
life much more interesting. Well, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to, upscale and up
Yeah.
level from wherever you are. That's the game
Yeah.
is enjoying the journey and just accelerating your pace or accelerating whatever. But yeah, I'm totally agree with you. Did you say on the seven primary you don't do the seventh and that would be TV? Is that what you said? TV?
No, no, the TEDx talks. We don't do TEDx.
What
So
is it?
TED Talks,
TED
TEDx.
Talks.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the one. Sorry, my accent throws a lot of people there.
Tid
So,
Tid
yeah.
Talks. Tid
TED
Talks.
Talks, TED Talks, yeah, TEDx Talks, yeah.
Yeah.
And mainly because, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with TEDx. It is a very effective platform to be positioned as a thought leader. Not as high as a lot of people think. A lot of people in TEDx will tell you it's number one. It's not. It's in the top seven. But the thing for me is it's not how I operate. There's so many restrictions about how you can talk on stage. You can't do audience interaction. You can't, you have to pre-submit your script and not deviate from the script. I'm like, I've never kept to a script in my life. Like, I am an audience participation guy. I like interact with everyone. So it doesn't really suit my style. And that's fine. It's not for me, it's for other people.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've toyed with it a lot, and like I have
Yeah.
never said the same thing twice in the same way.
Yeah.
There's no possible way. I mean, every talk
Yeah.
I do is completely different, even if it's the same slide deck, or it doesn't.
Exactly. Yeah. I would tell you this when TEDx launched in Wellington, back where I'm from in New Zealand, they approached me and said, "Hey, we'd love you to speak at this." And I said, "Oh, this sounds great. I'm totally in." And they said, "Right, here's the requirements." And the two requirements that broke me, one is the script thing. It had to be approved by the US. You're not allowed to deviate from it. And I'm like, "Oh, that's going to be a struggle. That's going to be a problem. It means it can't be natural." But the other thing they said is, as part of it, you have to get coaching from their TEDx coaches. And
Right.
they had three speaking coaches that they wanted me to do sessions with. And I said, "Are you serious?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "I don't need that." And they said, "It's part of the process." I said, "But the three coaches you have are there because I coached them. Like they are my students. Like, why would I need coaching from the people I literally taught to do what they're doing?" So it
Right.
was just, to me, it was just legalistic for the sake of being legalistic. So, although I
Yeah.
did meet Daniel Sloss, the comedian, very, very funny guy from the UK. He told me that he told me the secret of what to do because the same thing happened to him. He had to get up there and it wasn't allowed to deviate from the script. And he just thought, you know what? This thing's going to go viral anyway because he's a very well-known comedian. He said, "I'm just going to tell them I won't deviate from the script and then just do what the hell I want." And he did, and they ended up still having to put it out there. So I should have listened to
Really?
him. Yeah, I don't have the audience that he has, so maybe it wouldn't have worked for me, but I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but you still have to go through all the coaching with your
Yeah.
coachees. So
Oh yeah, he still had to do all of that. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah.
I always wondered that. I always wondered if you could go on and do a TED Talks and completely do your own thing, as long as you were in that down to the millisecond ending
Yeah,
time, right?
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
that's the important thing.
Yeah,
That's
I
fantastic.
do know people that have done a TEDx and it's never been put online because they peed off the Americans. Yeah, that's how we see it in this part of the world. But they peed off the TED committee and everything. So yeah, it's true. Yeah, I just don't like wasting time with politics and stuff like that. I focus on the things that we know we can move.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know you have many companies. What's your favorite company to work with right now?
Oh, honestly, it moves and it moves every single. Basically, whatever I'm working on the day is what's going to become my favorite. But
Hmm.
my softest spot is always for the publishing company,
Hmm.
and the main reason for that, Kathy, is we do a lot of work with neurodivergent entrepreneurs. So people with ADHD, people with dyslexia, and that is one of the most fulfilling things. I have to tell you about one of our clients. We have a client, Madison. He is just the most wonderful guy. I can't remember where he is in the US. I think it might be North Carolina or something like that. But he's this big African American military guy, like retired soldier now. His backstory is completely tragic. Like saw his entire family killed, all this kind of thing. As a youth, was in and out of juvie, and the main reason is because he has dyslexia, so he could never read or write properly. But he
Hmm.
saw his life spiraling down this dark path and thought, "I need to do something about this. I need to control my life." So he joined the military, served there for a number of years, found the love of his life, got married, has about 1 billion kids. Because every time she gets pregnant, it's twins. I'm like, "Dude, you guys need to stop. Like, you are repopulating the earth here, not in a good way." So, but he had always wanted to write a book, and he followed me for years. He'd seen a number of workshops I'd done and all this. So he reached out to me and said, "Look, I want to write a book. I can't afford it, but I want you to know. I want to know your rates because I want to work with you guys. You've helped me so much already." Blah blah. Blah. And I said, "Oh yeah." And a little part of me, the little rescuer in me, if I'm honest, Kathy, thought, "Oh, I'll do this for free for him." And then part of my brain said, "Stop." don't do this. Just trust me. And so I listened to my gut, and he went away. And then about 2 weeks later, I noticed online he was running a GoFundMe campaign, and it was because he wanted to write a book. And I was thinking, I did the right thing not doing this for free, and not because you get money, but because him doing that, him actually showing that he really, really wanted that, meant that whatever he did, he was going to put his every effort into it. And I can
Yeah.
tell you now, it was difficult for him, obviously not being able to read or write properly. But when we got to the end of that, I always, with every one of my clients, when they get that first book, I get them, they're not allowed to open the envelope from Amazon until I'm on a call with them. They rip it open, they pull out the kind of, draft copy, and I always look for their face because they always do the same thing. They get this little curl on the side of their mouth, this little glint in their eye, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. For him, ripped open the envelope, nothing, no expression at all. My rejection sensitivity kicked in. I'm like, oh my goodness, he hates it. He hates the cover. He hates how it looks. I was starting to panic on the inside, and then he just burst into tears. And that's when I realized how much this meant to him. And to be able to share in that experience with someone and help them to achieve that is why I do what I do and why my team does, is why my team are absolutely passionate about this. They freaking love it. So, and I, while he's crying on the call, of course, I kept very professional and, no, I ugly cried. Like, there's two grown men bawling their eyes out on a call. But it just reminded me of why we do what we do. So that's the most fulfilling part of the business.
Yeah, I get it. And the fact that he did the GoFundMe, he's really, really invested.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also we, we're not the cheapest, definitely, because we're very quality. We've been doing this for a while. We won a slew of awards. But at the same time, we're very clever because we keep everything really, really kind of efficient. So we don't have to charge as much as other people. But we're a ghost publisher for a couple of traditional publishers. So they give us their overflow of clients, or if they have marketing experts or like marketing clients, they're like, hey, you guys know what you're doing with marketing, go and help them. So we pretend we work for them and we get paid some good money. And we use that to subsidize the work that we do with other entrepreneurs. So as a traditional, like Ghost traditional publisher, we get paid a lot of money to do that. But then that subsidizes the hybrid publishing we do for them. So it means that we're very accessible, which is awesome. So for him, it was still too much. I mean, this is a guy who's trying to build his business, trying to build his career, and support a billion kids. So yeah.
Yeah, and a billion kids. Did you have him dictate and
Yeah, yeah, we
narrate his
did.
book?
Yeah, yeah. So he was the thing is, for somebody who has dyslexia, he was still very articulate. So we got him to talk about it, and some of them we had to go back and forth, and we interviewed him a number of times on different aspects of it as well. And then when we gave him the final manuscript, once all the edits had been done and things like that, he was listening to it through, basically putting it into a dictation software and listening to it, so that way you could tell if things flowed and everything like that. So very clever way of doing it, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love the fact that you can do that on Google Docs now, that you could just
Yeah,
narrate and it writes it all down. And then you can, when I
yeah,
wrote my last book, I was actually paid to write the Tetris book. It was such a collaborative thing with my co-author and with the
yeah,
publisher, all in the Google Doc, everybody commenting and editing. And it was just awesome to see it in
yeah,
real time
yeah,
happen. It made it so much easier to publish, like so much easier to just, well, I didn't publish. Fortunately, all I had
yeah,
to do was write. But it made it
yeah.
so much easier to write and have that final manuscript ready to
Exactly.
go.
I
Yeah.
will say this because I do a lot of work in AI. I actually work for OpenAI and I'm on the board of a number of different companies. Being in the publishing industry means I get a lot of flack for that. A lot of publishers, a lot of authors are very anti-AI. But
Mhm.
that client helped me in one particular situation because I was on a panel at a conference talking about publishing and things, and AI came up, of course, and everyone was like this anger and everyone going, oh, it's taking away from us real authors and blah, blah, blah. And then one of them said, you will never catch me using AI for any aspect of my book. And I was like, oh, really? No AI at all? He goes, yeah. I said, you use Google Docs? He goes, no, I use Word. I said, okay, fair enough. I said, so you use autocorrect in Word? And he goes, well, yeah. I said, oh, interesting. Do you use Grammarly? And he goes, of course. And I said, oh, yeah, okay. I was trying to explain to him, you're using AI, you just don't know it. But
Right.
the example of that client was weird because they were going, hey, if you use AI in any aspect, and by the way, none of our clients write books with AI, but they use AI to help them to write, to help them to articulate things, and then they rewrite it,
Sure.
which is very,
Sure.
really good to get past creative block. But he was saying that if anyone uses that, they're not a real author, they're a fraud, they should be ashamed of themselves. So I got to tell them the story about the person with dyslexia and said, so are you saying because he has a learning disability or learning, like learning difficulty, because of that, he doesn't have the right to write a book? And he goes, no, I'm not saying that. And I said, well, how else is he going to write the book? And he was like, and all of a sudden, when you put real human stakes against things like this, man, he was quiet for the rest of the conference. It was awesome. Yeah, so yeah.
That was awesome. It reminds me of a young woman. Contacted me to interview me for
Yeah.
her podcast. She's 12.
12. Oh
And
my goodness.
12, and she
That is
started a
legendary.
podcast. She's
Yeah.
brilliant. And she was talking about then I had her on my podcast because this
Yeah.
girl is amazing. And we were talking about AI and how everybody is so afraid of AI ruining school education
Yeah.
and all that. And she had so many amazing points about how AI is helping kids in school learn better, faster,
Yep.
quicker,
That's it.
accelerate, how it's their friend now, and there's nothing to be afraid of. And I thought,
Yeah.
wow, from a 12-year-old girl,
Yeah.
amazing. It was great
That's
to
what
hear that
I,
perspective.
I will say. I had talk about feeling like an underachiever. I had a 15-year-old on my show, and she had written 27 books. And I
What?
went, yeah, all fiction. And honestly, they were selling really well. Like she knows her market really, really well. But I'm going, you're 15 years old. I've only published
27.
11 books. You've got 27. Like this is ridiculous.
What does she do? How
I
does
said
she
on
have
the
time
show
to get
she's
to
selfish.
school?
Oh, it's
Wow. That's
yeah,
incredible. But
yeah,
imagine what's going to happen by the time she turns 40. I don't know. She might just be over books and now into like
yeah.
animation or something, right?
She did tell me she doesn't want anyone to ever read the first 5 books that she wrote because yeah, that would be amateur hour. But honestly, I looked at that and went, anytime I
Wow.
feel stressed, I can't complain. I'm like, wow, she's written 27 books at age 50.
Exactly.
Impressive.
Yeah. The youngins are really, really starting to take
Oh
hold.
yeah.
So I know your kids have flown the nest. So what are they doing? Have they flown
My
far from the tree or what?
I've got to be careful how I word this, or my kids will kill me. Yes, they've flown very far from the tree. Now, look, so our
Okay.
son, he's our youngest. He's 23. Yes, 23. I think he's 23. But he's back in New Zealand, and he's a software engineer. So he codes stuff and everything like that. So I'm a trained software engineer as well. I originally trained as an electronics computer and software engineer. So he would say he's fallen very far from the tree, and I'm like, you do know that that was my original discipline. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but
It's
he's doing exceptionally well, which I'm so damn proud of him, and just such an amazing human. And then our daughter, she swears she hasn't followed in my footsteps. She has her own marketing agency. And she, I know, and she also owns a sewing shop as well, like selling sewing supplies and things like that. But the
right. Right.
reason she bought that shop is because the marketing agency solely focuses on fashion labels and designers. And her whole goal is to help designers. So for her, she's nothing like me because I apparently have no fashion sense. And she talks with fashion designers. So you realize you still do marketing. You're still known
I
for
love I
yeah,
love that. Oh, I'm so glad I asked for those stories. That's
yeah.
priceless. It's like, no,
Yeah,
they don't have anything
she's
to do with what
29
you
now.
do.
So,
Nah,
yeah,
nah,
yeah.
nah.
I'm so proud of both our kids, obviously, and I'm fully aware that I'm totally biased. But my kids are the best kids in the world, and I won't hear any other argument about it. So there we go. Yeah.
So okay, so your dyslexic client published. He worked really long and hard to do that. How do you
Yep.
celebrate successes like that yourself?
Successes like that, I celebrate with them. It's about them. It's not about us. I mean, yes, we help them to achieve that, but really it is about honoring them and celebrating them, which is why whenever any of my clients do a book launch, I MC the book launch, right? As long as it's, online. I'm not going to fly over to the US just for, one book launch. But I do the MCing and things as well because I want to honor them. I want to honor their commitment, their hard work, the fact that they did this. It's freaking awesome. So that's how I celebrate that. How I celebrate my own successes is very poorly, if I'm brutally honest. I know because actually my kids call me to account on this as well. My son sent me a very expensive bottle of whiskey and said, look, when you have achieved this, this, and this, that's when you drink that whiskey. So it becomes, and he's just trying to train my brain to recognize that don't just keep moving forward and moving forward. Look back and celebrate those wins because otherwise you lose sight of them. So yeah, so I'm trying
Yep.
trying to get better at that. And also my wife, she's amazing. She and my best friend here as well. The two of them team up on me every time we've got a major accomplishment, and they will make sure that I celebrate that. So yeah,
Yeah, take a pause. That's
yeah,
exactly why I put this question in every podcast that I give,
yeah,
because it's a reminder to myself
yeah.
to stop and celebrate. When I published my first book, I went, oh no, now I have to market, right? And I didn't even pause to say, oh, congratulations, you self-published your first book. What a good job, Kathi. No,
Exactly.
I was like, then I was freaked out about marketing, right?
Yeah.
So,
I
it's
will
like,
tell you actually with my first book, Kathy, when that came out, everyone said to me, so everyone said you don't do a book launch. Like they all said nobody goes to book launches anymore. Certainly not a face-to-face event. And I went, I'm a marketer. You're all amateurs. Hold my beer. So I organized a book launch. We had like 100 and something people there. It was amazing. And this because it was back in New Zealand. We had people fly in from all over the world that wanted to support it, which that really humbled me. It was amazing. But I also knew that I was going to struggle slightly there because imposter syndrome is very real. The last 5% of that book was the hardest part to write because it was me procrastinating and going, once it's finished, people will read it. Uh-oh. So I did the event kind of to spite that. And
mhm,
when we were there, it was a beautiful experience. I told everyone about the journey of writing the book. And there's a very personal aspect of it as well, which is my book was delayed for about a year because my sister was battling cancer at the time. And I had a routine where every morning at 3 a.m. I used to write for an hour, and that was how I got my progress in the book. But when she was going through her battle, she was in Australia, I was in New Zealand, and that was about the time where her husband and kids were asleep, and she would wake up and she'd spent the whole day telling them, "Oh, I'm not afraid at all. I'm not in any pain at all." And she would ring me, or we'd jump on Zoom together, and she'd be going, "I'm so afraid, Vince, and I'm in so much pain." And so for about a year, daily calls with her to help support her and encourage her to talk to her husband and kids as well, because she was trying to be brave, because that's who she is. She's super strong.
mhm.
But then she lost her battle, and that was kind of the driving force behind finishing the book at that point. In fact, even when I said bye to her, her parting words to me were, "Oh, that book." And I went, "Yeah." And she goes, "If you don't finish that effing book, I am going to effing haunt you." And I was like, "Well, maybe I don't want to finish it now so that you can haunt me and we can catch up." So, but
Right, right,
it
right.
was so I got to share the personal story, and there were tears, and it was just beautiful. But then something happened, and that was everyone wanted signed copies of the books. And in my mind, I'm going, first of all, why do you want my autograph? Like
Right.
I am not a celebrity in any way, shape, or form. I am not a musician or an actor. I'm barely an average karaoke singer. So, but I realized that if I go to a book launch, that's what I would want. So I could justify that in my mind. So I bought a special pen. I was signing it all for everyone. And then everyone, as I handed them the book, said something along the lines of, "Oh, I can't wait to read this." And that's when imposter syndrome grabbed me by the throat. And I suddenly, that night when I left, I
Oh
should have
my
been buzzing. I should have been celebrating. Yeah, instead, I went home and I spiraled all night. I couldn't sleep at all. I just kept thinking, who do I think I am writing a book? What right do I think? There's people out there far more talented than me that haven't written books. Why do I think I have the right to do this? Then I go, oh, everyone's going to read the book and realize you have no idea what you're doing. You're making this up as you go along, and you're a complete and utter fraud. All of the usual stuff that we go through with imposter syndrome. So when you talk about just wanting to move forward and not celebrate, I actively sabotaged it. I had an interview organized with Forbes. I had an interview with CIO magazine, Diginomica. There was one other one as well. I can't remember what it was. Oh, Entrepreneur magazine. I had interviews lined up with all of them, and I contacted them all the next day and said, "Oh, sorry guys, not going to be able to do that. I am too busy." Which was, I was busy, but that was absolute bollocks. That was just
Yeah,
me
yeah.
basically self-spiraling. So.
Wow.
Yeah, so I definitely did not take the time to celebrate that. And then funny enough, that's when all of that got taken out of my hands anyway, because it sold very, very well. It just went it went ballistic. And next thing you know, I'm in San Francisco speaking at a conference there, and Adobe blindsided. They had 25 of us as keynotes for this conference, and all of my heroes. They've got all 25 keynotes on stage. They're all my heroes in the industry. Everyone I look up to, I'm like, oh my goodness, they're on the stage. I can't believe I'm here with them all. And then the head of Adobe said, by the way, we haven't told these guys why they're on stage right now, but as well as being your keynote speakers, we want to celebrate them. And I'm like, I see what's happened here. And he goes, and we want to recognize them as the first batch of the top 50 marketers in the world. So I didn't really get to celebrate myself. I ended up with people celebrating in spite of that and doing it for me. So that was amazing.
That's amazing. Sometimes the universe makes you celebrate,
Oh
you know.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I had no choice. Yeah, yeah. So yeah,
I love that. That's a great story. Well, this is a reminder to celebrate, and I'm glad that you have that whiskey sitting there for whenever
oh
you're
yeah,
ready to go.
yep.
Little nippy every once in a while to pause and say, "Look what
Well,
I
I've got
did."
yeah, I've got two new books coming out soon, so there's gonna be two nips of whiskey. That's gonna be
There
awesome.
you go. Awesome. Okay, so I know I'm going to put your link to your website down below. Is there something that you want to offer the audience that maybe aspiring authors or authors that want to
Yeah.
scale? What would you suggest, or what would you like to give?
Well, a couple of things there. Firstly, the first issue that most people have around wanting to write a book is, what do I write? And it's the most common question we get from people. Most people procrastinate, but there's a whole pile of self-doubt in there as well, where they're like, oh, I'm not experienced enough to write a book. That's absolute crap. Don't even listen to that part of your voice. It's lying to you. You've got experience, and there are people that would love to hear from that. So just note that. But the other thing is they go, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know what book to write. They all think they've got to write an autobiography or a memoir. No one wants to hear that. They just want to hear your expertise on paper. So I've got a free masterclass, which I'm going to give you the link for each of you. If you want to work out what that book should be, then go through that free masterclass, work out what the book should be, and come to a title. And then the other thing I'm going to say is, on chasingtheinsights.com, there is a link there to book a free strategy call with me. If you have an idea for a book, or you've thought about writing a book, or any of those kind of things, grab some free time in my calendar. I make it available to everyone. It's something that I'm really passionate about. It won't be a sales call at all. I don't do those. I'm renowned for forgetting to do any part of sales whatsoever. My team keep hassling me. It's not about that. It's about giving you some wisdom, giving you a rundown of the publishing industry and how to approach writing a book. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. That's very generous. And everybody who's listening, if you want to write a book, even if you're on your second book, definitely take the master class, because it's going to help you feel more grounded. Even if you think your idea is solid, it's going to solidify and maybe even make you a little bit off balance to do something better, bigger, and larger. So yeah. Yeah,
Love it.
that's I appreciate that. Is there anything that we should have talked about, or anything that I should have asked you that you wanted to talk?
Oh, see, this is the problem talking to you, Kathi. Seriously, there's about a billion things we could keep talking
I
about.
know, I know.
Now, look, the main thing for me is I'm very aware that entrepreneurial journeys are a couple of things. They're riddled with loneliness and isolation. So get connected with people. And we could have talked about that. But the other thing, which we did touch on, is imposter syndrome. And the fact that, a lot of us, like imposter syndrome, we have to understand this. Imposter syndrome is not actually a bad thing. Right? This is a weird thing to get your head around, but imposter syndrome is not a bad thing at all. It is literally your brain trying to keep you safe. And that's a good thing. The problem with that is it keep trying to keep you safe by giving fear and putting fear into you. Of going, hey, it recognizes, hey, Kathi, you're outside of your comfort zone right now. I'm freaking out. You're now vulnerable. You could be open to, someone could say something that, would damage you and all this. So I want to keep you safe by bringing you back into your comfort zone. The challenge with that is, as entrepreneurs, we're supposed to be outside of our box and outside of our comfort zone. That's where everything good happens. That's where growth happens, success happens, wealth happens, all those kind of things. So
Yeah.
essentially, if we can retrain our brain to understand that when you hear those things, that's not bad. That's just a signal. What you do with that is where it gets bad. If you spiral into self-sabotage, or you pull back from things, or you don't do things, or you hold back, all of those things are the negative. That's your decision, not imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
So one of the things I always say to people is you've got to retrain your brain to go, hey, when you hear those signals, that's your brain saying, guess what, Kathi? You're exactly where you're supposed to be. Yes, you're making this up as you go along. That's called being an entrepreneur. Like we literally make this up as we go along. It's a good thing. And yes, you're way out of your comfort zone. And yes, you don't always know what you're doing. Again, those are good things. That's where innovation happens. So when your
Mhm.
brain's telling you that, that's what it's actually telling you. You're where you're supposed to be. And that's where you can have that conversation with your brain, which I have all the time. And it's a daily thing sometimes where I get to go, hey, brain, I super appreciate you. I love you. I love the fact that you keep trying to keep me safe. And I really appreciate that about you. But in this case, you need to understand a couple of truths. Firstly, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So don't stress about that, because the other truth is, I've got this. We always bounce back. We always land on our feet. Let's do this together. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's the other thing we should have talked about. There we go.
No, that's really, really good. And I think to me it means, oh, I'm getting ready to expand.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Horizon, right?
I,
Oh,
I
this
can tell you now,
expansion.
I've talked to people at every level of business, right? Other than, I don't think I've talked to Jeff Bezos before. But most of the top level entrepreneurs that I look up to all deal with imposter syndrome. Every single one of them. So if they're dealing with it and you're dealing with it, guess what? There's no difference between the two of you. Just keep pushing in.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. All right, fantastic. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, and this has been a really fun chat. As usual, we always have good
Yep,
conversations.
we do.
Everybody, make sure to take the workshop, even if you don't even think you're going to write a book. I think you might get triggered into doing something that might make you expand and feel imposter like. Never know.
Yep, love it.
Hey, until next week, if you guys like this, please like it, share it, comment, do it, give me some stars, give me some ratings. I very much appreciate your support with the podcast. And make sure to check out Vince's website and his very special offer and link. Thanks, Vince. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Kathi. It's been an honor.
Yeah, until next week, you guys, we'll see ya. Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to hear more, feel free to subscribe on the platform of your choice. Also, if you feel so inclined, I would truly appreciate a good rating from you to me. Have a stellar day.